And press record. Okay, we are recording. Hey guys, thank you so much for being on. I said it in the chat, but I'm going to say it here again. If you have someone that you know needs to be on here tonight that's not here, just send them a quick text message. We are recording, but there's nothing that beats being on live and being able to interact and just like be here in the moment. Sorry, I just took a shower, so my hair's all soaking wet. But this is going to be really special and really powerful. So I'm going to give a brief intro, and then I'm going to let Jess share her story. But I have known Jess since we were little, probably, 8, 9, 10, somewhere in there. We were on swim team together. Her dad was my coach for a while, and we grew up together, and this business reconnected us, and we just have reconnected even deeper through some things that we've walked through that Jess is going to talk a little bit about too. But this business really brought us back into each other's lives, and it's just been so special to watch Jess grow. And I'm going to just let her tell her story, and because I don't want to butcher it or share it in a way that's going to make anything less powerful than it is. But Jess has just really grown through so much during her life, but also during her time in the business. And the reason I wanted Jess to talk to you tonight is not just because I want you to hear her story and because it's amazing and because it's inspiring, but because with the setbacks that Jess has experienced in her business specifically and in her life, when she has said that she's making a comeback from something that has been a setback for her, she does. She creates this momentum from setbacks that's really powerful, where she puts her money where her mouth is and she actually gets results. And I think it's easy for all of us to go through setbacks in our life or in our business and to say, like, I'm going to come back from this, like, I'm here, I'm ready to go. And sometimes it's all talk, just not because we mean badly, but because we don't know how to put action behind it. And that is something that just Jess does really well. She puts the action behind it and she gets the results, and she's walked through these massive storms, but she's worked through them, and she's had these amazing like rainbows come out on the other side, and she truly is a light to everyone that knows her. So I'm going to stop talking about her, and I'm going to let her just share her story and take it away. And we're just going to let God lead this tonight and let it unfold in the way that it needs to. So, okay, Jess.
Okay. Hi, I'm Jess. I'm a diamond, and I've been in for 4 years, since July. And I'm going to apologize, even though I know I don't have to, and Claire's going to yell at me for this later. But I'm very possibly going to get extremely emotional tonight, and you'll understand why a little bit more as I start to tell you my story. But basically, I started in 2016. And it was about 2 months after I got married to my husband. I had been watching Claire for like 8 or 9 months. We reconnected like around Thanksgiving the year before I joined, but I was planning a wedding. And I think, I had just started a new job. My husband, Andy, was like working a grueling job. He was a personal trainer, and he worked from like 7 a.m. until 8 p.m. So our schedule was just crazy. Not only that, we lived in Northern Virginia, and our wedding was being planned back at home in New York. So we did a lot of traveling, and I just didn't think that it was time. I was interested and I wanted to try it, but at the same time, I didn't think that I would ever be successful at it. But I just like continued to use that time to just watch Claire grow and watch the things that she was doing, reconnect with her, which is probably one of the things that I'm most thankful for in this business. Because we were really good friends when we were younger, and it was so sad when she moved away. But quickly into my business, when I jumped in, I was the person who was like ignorance on fire. I knew nothing. I texted Claire probably 200 times a day to ask her questions. And I just like jumped in, started posting, started talking to people. Like, I didn't care. For as shy of a person as I am, I just didn't care. I went executive really quickly. And then it took me a little longer. Things slowed down a little bit, not customer enrollment wise, but distributor enrollment wise. It took me until February of the following year to finally go Ruby. And then in like April of that year, I got Andy to Ruby. And so on top of our full-time jobs, we were making collectively about $1,000 extra a month. And that was more than I wanted when I even started this business. I really just wanted like $300 to $500 extra to help pay down my student loans, and for us to just be able to go on date nights together, because Northern Virginia was very expensive and we both had really good jobs, but we were still just barely living comfortably enough to do those things. And I'm super thankful for that start, because towards the end of that summer of 2017, I was very close to going diamond. We had that $10 promo and my chart just like blew up. I think I was actually even charted double, but volume wise, I was close to diamond. And I was just so excited because that was something I had obviously focused on, and my goal was to hit it a year into my business, and I was literally on track for that. And it didn't happen. And then so I kept pushing forward, but in September of 2017, my husband unexpectedly passed away. And so that's where I want to tell you that I apologize for the emotions if they come out, because tomorrow is actually the 3-year anniversary since losing him. And I've been okay most of the day, but the more that I talk about it and the more that it starts to hit me, I feel like those feels are going to come out. So I'm going to try to push through, but I just wanted to warn you guys. So when that happened, obviously, I was 28 years old and I just lost my best friend and my life partner. Literally no idea what I was going to do. Didn't know how I was going to live without him. We had been together for like a third of my life. And so at that point, I didn't really know what life was like without him anymore. Not only just his support and his love, but also like, how am I going to support myself? How am I going to pay my bills? I packed up my apartment within like a week and a half, and I moved home to New York to be with my parents. I was still working my job, but I was doing it remotely. And I was just trying to figure out where to go from here. One thing that I did that, actually, I'll finish telling my story really quick, sorry. So I took probably a month and a half to 2 months off of the business. I didn't completely unplug from it because it was something that filled my heart and gave me hope. So I may not have been like posting as much about it or even trying to sell or get distributors, but when I felt up to it, or if a Zoom popped up and the topic was something that I thought that my heart needed, I would definitely do what I could to pop on. I spent a lot of those nights on Zooms with my camera off because I was bawling my eyes out, listening to everyone else share their struggles and the things that they had been through. And when November hit, I decided that I didn't want to, I mean this out of love, because obviously you owe yourself grace to feel your feels and get through what you need to do and take the time that you need to take. But I didn't want to play the victim anymore. I didn't want to sit and wallow in the bad things that had happened in my life. And so I reached out to Claire. In the month and a half that I had taken off from my business, everything fell apart. I mean, I still tried to be there for my teammates, and of course they had other people and Zooms that they could plug into, but a lot of people had shuffled out and quit. And so I essentially had to start from ground zero again. And I will say in November of that year, it was when they were doing like Christmas cash and all of those amazing promos. And I signed, I think, 31 or 32 loyal customers that month, and then 3 or 4 distributors. And I just couldn't believe it. Like, I blew myself away. But I remember telling Claire that I didn't want to have the excuse of it anymore. And not to say that it's an excuse, because obviously becoming a widow at 28 is something that no one expects to go through. But I just got to a point where I needed to decide if I wanted to just continue to let that consume me and fill me with like darkness and sadness, or if I wanted to take that, take the things that had happened to me and the things that I was going through and use that and share that with people to show them that you can do anything. And I feel like it was helpful, hopefully, to other people, but it was more helpful to myself to be able to use social media and these platforms that I had been, becoming an influencer on, and just share my life and be vulnerable and be completely open. And I basically use Facebook and Instagram as my diary. I put my heart out there and I put all my feelings out there, and I didn't expect it, but it made my business explode. And so I just knew at that point that that was something that I needed to continue to do and something that I wanted to be in the future. And so I jumped back in, and I had a good like 1 or 2 months. My enrollments went up. I was staying consistent. And then, I let the waves of grief come in and sometimes consume me a little too much. I'm a yellow, and Claire has to pull this out of me all the time, and I've gotten a lot better. But as yellows, we love to always help everyone else and hear their problems and just be there and be that shoulder. But we have trouble doing that for ourselves. So I'll listen to you talk all day long, and I will help you and give you advice and give you love. But I'm afraid to tell you what's going on with me because I don't ever want it to be seen as not a weakness, but like, I don't know, not complaining, I guess. So it's like, I don't ever want to inconvenience or bother or be a burden on somebody else when I feel like I'm that person who always wants to be there for everyone. And so I continued on through 2018, and it was like up and down. I'd have a good month, and then I'd have a slow month. And honestly, that was my fault because I was not being consistent. I was still learning how to work my business through the grief, and also learning who I am as a person now because, for 6 years, I was I was Jess and Andy, and I was this person who was part of something, and then now all of a sudden I'm on my own, and I need to figure out what kind of a person I want to be as just Jess. Like, who do I want to be? What impact do I want to have on the world? And I just knew that no matter how hard things got and no matter what was happening in my life, that It Works was going to be my vehicle to be that person and to make an impact. So I continued on through the summer, and I think I was like hanging around Emerald. And then it dropped off a little bit towards the end of the summer. And then in November of 2018, I think, right? Is that when you went ambassador, Claire? Yeah. I was pushing, again, my business had completely fallen apart. People had come and go, started over. It's super scary, but honestly, at this point, I've done it so many times. It's not that bad. And I always pray that the right people are going to come into my business. And especially recently, it's been incredible, and I'm thankful for that. But in November of 2018, I pushed really hard. Claire was pushing for ambassador. My upline was pushing for triple at that time, I think. And I really wanted to get to diamond. I hadn't yet gotten there, but honestly, I just wanted to get back to emerald at that point, and that was going to be a huge accomplishment for me considering everything that I had been through. And I did it, and it was amazing. And then again, the holidays hit and the grief came in. I was just missing Andy so much. It had been a little over a year, and I just still everything felt so raw and so recent. And so I kind of tapered back off again. I actually ended up losing my job at the end of 2018 because they wanted me to move back to Northern Virginia and be in the office. And at this point, I was living in North Carolina in Wilmington at the beach. That's where I decided I wanted to start my life over. And because I was working remote, my company let me do that. But then when they were acquired by a different company, like I said, they wanted me to come back or else they were going to let me go. So in the beginning of 2019, I looked at Claire and I was like, I've got to go all in. Like, I don't want to find another job. I don't want to have to go back in an office because at this point I'd been working remote for over a year. And so as crazy and scary as it was, I just decided to do my business full time. I think I went diamond in March that year, and it was incredible. It was so far off, and it was literally such a God thing. There were 3 or 4 days left in the month, and I still needed over 3,000 in volume. And somehow my team and I pulled it in, and I just remember feeling relief, honestly. Like, I was proud of myself, but I just felt so relieved. And it just reminded me that no matter what had happened and all the roller coaster ride that I had been on over the last like 2.5 years, is that I could do it. And so I held that for a few months, and then I had some people leave again through the summer, and things started to fall apart. And it got a little discouraging. And I had actually just gotten out of a toxic relationship at that point too. I started dating somebody. I don't talk about it that often, and he seemed so good to be true. And then the further we got into the relationship, he just was not a good person. And I think that the fact that it was the first person I had let in since losing Andy, and kind of the fear of being alone again, I put up with more than I should have. But at the end of the summer, I realized that I deserved better than that. And I just knew I wanted better. So I started in the fall, actually around the two-year anniversary, taking better care of myself. I had gained, probably like 40 pounds since losing Andy, just from the grief and all of life struggles and figuring everything out. And I started taking better care of myself. I started working out again, and just like really pouring into myself. Self-development was something in the past that I was usually pretty consistent with, but then once I got going and life got busy, that was definitely the first thing to like go on the back burner, because I don't have time to read, like I don't have time to do this. So I started pouring back into that, and then I got through the 2-year anniversary, got through the holidays. Things have been going pretty good. Coronavirus hit, and life got crazy for everybody. I know not everybody's businesses were affected terribly, but I definitely had some people leave again. And then obviously the struggles with talking to people and not having the money to start, not having the product. And I'm going to be completely vulnerable and honest with you guys. I let that paralyze me. I stopped looking at it as like I was a way for people to make their lives better, and kind of started looking at it as a burden, like, oh gosh, I'm asking this person to spend money and they just told me they lost their job, or they don't even have the $49 to get started and I feel like I'm bugging them. And it wasn't until the end of July, when my upline chose to leave the business for her family, that I felt lost. I'm not gonna lie. And I just looked at myself in the mirror and I just thought to myself, okay, like you've been through so much, you've gotten through so much. You honestly just need to decide right now, are you going to let this struggle define your business and your path to the future? And are you just going to give up and quit? Or are you going to suck it up and do the things that you know you need to do, and share your story and just be that person that you know you can be and just get to it? I think that was probably on like July 28th. And through those last 3 days and then through September, I signed 4 distributors, and I don't remember, a good bunch of customers. It was more than I had ever signed, like that I'd signed in months, because I really hadn't been working my business. But it just reminded me that it doesn't matter. Like you literally just have to jump in and get back to work and things. So that was my super long-winded story.
We love your story though. We love it.
So long.
We love every minute of it. Something that I just jotted down. I know you have like so many more amazing things to say, but I just jotted this down while you were talking. You took ownership, and we talk so much about taking ownership in our businesses, but you also took ownership of your struggles. And I think what's powerful about that is that's what positioned you as a victor instead of a victim, because you said, okay, this is my struggle. This has happened to me. And now what am I going to do about it? Like, I'm either going to sit here and I'm going to be a victim by what I'm going through, or I'm going to look at myself in the mirror and say, okay, what are you going to do now? Like, I just jotted this down in the comments, and like, it might sound cheesy, but like, maybe all of us need to go have a conversation with ourselves in the mirror. Like, I just think that's such a powerful moment to just look at yourself in the mirror and say, okay, what are you going to do? This is your life. Here it is. This is what you're dealing with. This is the hand you've been dealt. Like, what are you going to do with it? I'm just so proud of you. Okay, keep going.
Okay, so I know you wanted me to talk about how I come back, and without being like, I mean, high level, obviously, like I said, you just kind of have to sit down and start doing the work. But basically, like when I literally did have a conversation with myself in the mirror, you guys. I'm not just saying that. Like, I stood there with tears in my eyes, like talking to myself. But you honestly, like, it all starts with you. Like, you have to decide right now if you're in this or if you're just going to let it like defeat you and be done. Because if you don't make that decision, you're going to continue to be wavering and wishy-washy. And I mean that in the most loving way, but you just have to decide. So that day, that's what I did. And then immediately the next day, like I said, self-development is the first thing to go on the back burner with me. I was probably watching, you guys, at least three sermons a day. And then there was one that was only like 15 minutes. I can try to find it later and share it in the post or whatever, but there was one that I was literally, I think I was sending them all to Claire like every single day. But there was one that I found, and I'm not kidding you guys, I watched it every single day for like 2 weeks because it was literally about like the situation that I was in and choosing to overcome that and just push through it. So I did a whole bunch of self-development because I knew that I needed to not only grow my heart and my mind in this moment, but I needed it to be strong enough to be guarded and protected from everything else that's going on in the world. Because not only am I dealing with my own personal struggles of like still dealing with grief or dealing with team members losing or leaving, there's just so much going on. There's so much negativity in the world right now between coronavirus and the riots and the protests and just everything that's going on. Like, it's so easy to get lost, especially running a business through social media, down this hole of negativity. And you can't do that. Like, I have unfollowed so many pages, so many things, just because I know that I can't afford to pay attention to it because it darkens me to read it and to listen to it. It hurts. And so with that, you also have to like really focus on your mindset, and you have to pay attention to the things that you're reading and to the things that you're letting into your heart, and just remind yourself that that's not what you need right now. Like, you have a goal and you have this specific plan that you need to follow. And so having a strong mind and that willpower is what's super important to get you through that. Another thing that I had to start doing that's honestly kind of hard for me, is you have to honestly like just hold yourself to a higher standard. You can't keep, I mean this lovingly. If you know my heart, I promise you I mean this lovingly. But you can't keep letting your struggle be your excuse. You have to, at some point, stop throwing like a pity party for yourself in a sense and just push. Like, you're not the only person that's going through something, and that's something that my eyes have definitely been open to, especially since losing my husband. And there's just so many people out there that not only you can lean on for support, but that need to hear your story and need to hear your struggle, and they need you to keep going because you're going to change their life. Like, you may not know it, you may not think that you're helping anybody or that anybody is like finding value in what you're saying, but I promise you somebody somewhere out there needs you to keep going. And so that was just something that was super important to me too. And then I guess like the last thing is just kind of leaning in, like lean into your business. I know Claire talked about this on a Zoom last month when she was talking about going through a hard time and focusing on your business, because at the same time that I lost my husband, it was when Claire and Brian were battling cancer. So I know that she leaned big into her business to get through that, because it's like the world is still going and life is still happening. And so it's okay to be sad and to focus and do the things that you need to do for your personal life, but you also need to focus on your business and all of that because it's not going anywhere. So between that and then leaning into the Lord, leaning into your family and friends, that's something that I know Claire has had to work with me a lot over this last month. Like I said, it's not easy for me to talk about my own feelings and my own struggles because I don't ever want to be a burden. But you have family and friends that love you and that support you and that want the best for you. So you have to understand that they're going to be there for you if you need to talk to them, because you guys, I've learned this in the past and I've tried it. You cannot hold things in because it's just going to consume you and it's going to paralyze you. And I've been there and I've done it and it's not fun. So just believe me when I say that you need to just outlet those feelings, whether you're journaling, whether you're talking to somebody. I definitely suggest talking to somebody because hearing their thoughts and their love and just their perspective on everything obviously can make you feel so much lighter and so much better. So that's something that's really, really important. And then I just have notes in here. I posted the other day about my story and just about facing storms and how to get through it and just what you need to do. And one thing I said that's really important is you can't allow your storm to consume you. We don't get to choose what storms come our way, unfortunately. And honestly, you can't ignore them. You can't pretend they're not there. You can't let them overpower or paralyze you. You just have to push through. Because like I said, even though we can't choose the storms that come into our life, we can choose the person that we want to be on the other side of that. Because that storm is not going to last forever. One thing that I really loved is like, when the storm comes, you have to decide whether you're going to sail through it or stand under it. So you can either stand there and let that storm pour down on you and just cripple you, or you can push through and get on through it to the other side. Yes, celebrate your storm. I loved that one. And then obviously you can choose to grow through it and learn from it. That's one thing that I know I was talking to Claire about this before. I'm a completely different person than I was 3 years ago. And that's obvious. I mean, we all grow and we all change, but 3 years ago, I was so broken and so lost. And I still am to a point. But I've learned how to navigate through it and how to share it with other people. And as much as I hate that it happened, I'm thankful for the person that I am today because of it. Because I feel like I've gained so much strength and so much wisdom. And I just can't even explain it. It's such a weird thing to say because, I mean, I wish I could have Andy back every second of every day. But I truly wouldn't be the person that I am today had I not gone through what I went through 3 years ago. That's all I have for now.
Oh, I didn't know if you were reading your next point or if you
Well,
were.
I was trying to see, but I think I pretty much already.
Jess, I love you so much.
I went through them.
This is, I know you probably haven't been able to like keep up with the comments as you've been talking, so you're going to want to scroll through them really quickly, but just people are so powerfully impacted by you. And I just wanted to say, like, in all of this, like, you so casually skimmed over that, like, you're having a good month, like you had a good month last month, like you made this decision. I'm like, no, you had like an amazing month, and like you are full force back and like working harder than ever. And I just think you have allowed the things that have come up against you to drive you. And when they could have just driven over you, like, you've allowed them to drive you, and you've just been like, okay, like, I'm gonna come through from this. And I just wanted to say, because I thought it was so cool, and you didn't like blast it everywhere like I probably would have, but like, she got a personal message from Mark Pentecost, like, what, last month?
Yeah.
Like, just being like, you're amazing. Like, I see your numbers and I see what you're doing, and I'm really proud of you, and thank you for your loyalty, and like, thank you for being here. Like, literally what she's done in her story. And I mean, you also, like, Mark wanted to meet you and you met him a couple years ago at conference. Like, your story is so powerful and it's caught the attention of so many and it's inspired so many. And I know there are so many people even on the Zoom tonight that have watched you from far away that you might not even realize have been touched by you. And so I think that reminder for all of us watching this, as we see Jess like sharing her story and being touched by it, is we all have a story to tell that will impact someone. You know what I mean? Like, me and Brian walking through cancer, that's touched certain people. Jess, what she's walked through, that's touched certain people. You know, Ashley, what you've been through has touched certain people. You know, Rachel, what you've been through has touched certain people. Kat, what you've been through will touch certain people. So like, we all have that story to tell and an impact that we can make. But if we just roll over and don't fight back and don't move forward, then no one will ever get to know that story and someone wouldn't be able to be encouraged. And I typed this in the chat too, but like, you got me through that year. Like, when I was walking through all of that, it was like, Jess is fighting a storm that's so much bigger than this one that I'm in, and she's able to still get up every single day and like check on me. Like, I can certainly face this, you know? And so we never know who we're keeping going, just like you said, which is so powerful. So thank you so much for sharing with us. Like, we love you. We're such a big team, but we're such a family. And I just like, this just makes me want to have a family reunion, like ASAP, and just hug all you guys. But did you have anything you wanted to add before we wrapped up?
I just wanted to say, like, one thing that definitely has been huge for me, I mean, personally, but also obviously for my business, is, and this all depends on how comfortable you are, but as we always say, this business is supposed to bring you out of your comfort zone. So like I had said, I think I briefly mentioned it, but sorry, comments. I started taking to social media as like my diary. And I very openly and vulnerably shared every aspect of my story. If I woke up and spent the entire day crying, I shared that. I didn't hide it. I wasn't ashamed of it. And I know that everyone thinks social media is like this highlight reel, and yes, to an extent it is. But something that I truly believe in to my core is to just always be authentic and open and vulnerable. And it's brought so many people, not just into my business, but into my life, that have randomly come across me on Instagram or on Facebook from a friend sharing a post just because, you know, being supportive and saying how strong and how proud they were. And it's brought like some of the best friends into my life. It's brought amazing business partners, amazing customers. And it's something that I literally, like, honestly, in the beginning of this, I never thought that I would do. I never thought I would share something so deep into my soul out there for the world to read, but it's been so huge. And I've told Claire this, especially a lot over the last month. Obviously this business is like, I'm in it to provide me the financial freedom to be able to live my life how I want and to be able to help my family and just take care of people when they need it, and to not even have to think about it and just give back and just do so much financially. But I want to be a light for people. I want to, and it's not for the recognition for myself, because I don't care about it that much for as far as it goes for me. But it's like, I always say, if I can tell my story and it can touch even one person that reads it that day, then this is all worth it. All the struggles, all the hard work, all the endless days, like, it's all worth it. And I promise you, if you can push yourself to be more vulnerable and be more open about those things, it's going to make you so much more reachable. Because I don't know about you guys, but I wouldn't never want to like reach out to somebody who seems like their life is perfect, because I am not. I'm like this hot mess, dog mom, like emotional, like it is what it is. And being able to put that out there and just be my real self, like goofy, corny, stupid jokes and all, and just make somebody laugh and just make somebody feel like whatever it is they're going through that day, they might think that their world is going to end, but then they read your story and they think, okay, she did this. I can do this. Like, I can get through this. And then just being there for somebody. I know that in this business, time is precious, but I've, especially over the last month with like the group that we did for Rising Leaders and just everything, I just always want people to know that I'm available. Like, I will talk to you if you need an ear, if you need advice, if you just need to like how your day was and you just need somebody like to love on you for a little bit, I am here. And that's just something that I really want to like portray to people. And I want, when people hear my name, I want them to be like, oh my gosh, that girl helped me get through this struggle or that struggle or whatever. And like I said, it's not for me. I don't care about that recognition. I don't care about any of that for myself, but I care about their hearts and just helping them get through that. And so just being authentic and being vulnerable and pushing yourself to come out of that little box and realize that it's okay to be a real person on social media and that people actually appreciate that more is just something that I think is so important.
So powerful, so powerful. And you are all of those things that you want to be, by the way. And I'm not the only one saying that. Everyone's saying that in the chat. So this isn't one of those instances where you're like, oh, Claire, you're just saying that. Oh my goodness. Thank you so much for sharing with us. And you inspired a lot of people tonight. And I know you will even more with the recording. Thank you guys for being on and for being here. And I just hope that you take this and please like go into the comments in Freedom Legacy and wherever you saw this Zoom posted and just share like an aha or something that inspired you. And I hope that this helps you feel free to open up and to reach out if you're going through something. I know that we're all here for you. Like Jess just said, she's an open door. I'm always an open door. So if you just need someone to talk to or to help you find that courage to fight back and to lean into your business and to take that next step to make it your comeback, we're here to support you. So we love you guys so much. We'll see you next Tuesday. Good night.
Bye.